Summer is winding down, and with fall on the horizon, it's never too early to get into the spirit of the spooky season, and this month we've got two somewhat light-hearted ghost stories. One is a low-key hangout movie with clerks in a closing hotel hunting ghosts. And the other is a quirky dry comedy with a reluctant ghostbuster rediscovering her talents in order to prevent a satanic sacrifice. So let's start watching. Welcome to Watch Assignment, the show where we help you in the never-ending search for what to watch and offer up 2 movie suggestions that are instantly available to watch this month on Plex and Tubi. I am your curator, Mr. Streamface, and here's what we got for August 2024. This month we're looking to explore the mysteries of the supernatural with a bit of fun, with unique looks at ghost hunting and ghost busting. And both of these movies use methods of communicating with the afterlife to focus on their characters, and how the pursuit of the paranormal helps them find purpose. Both films also inject humor into their journeys, with one taking a more naturalistic approach with a lightheartedness coming from character interactions and reactions to phenomena, while the other finds comedy in the dry and mundane reactions characters have to unbelievable events. The character development is key with these stories, and they make for a delightful pairing watching their reactions and personal growth to the spooky happenings. Our first feature is the slow burn indie horror The Innkeepers, released in 2011 and directed by Ty West. Welcome to the Yankee Peddler Inn, a historic but crumbling hotel that's days away from being shut down. It's here we meet Claire, played by Sarah Paxton, and Luke, played by Pat Healy, the last 2 slacker employees that are working the inn's closing weekend. Luke has set up a website dedicated to the hotel's haunted lore, the ghost of Madeline O'Malley, and he uses equipment to try and capture any paranormal activity. Claire becomes curious in the hauntings as they stay in the hotel for the remainder of their shifts, and she uses the equipment to help Luke try and capture evidence one last time. She experiences an unexplainable event that she finds both invigorating yet unsettling. The arrival of Leanne Rhys-Jones, a psychic guest played by Kelly McGillis, brings a new perspective and a sense of legitimacy to the supernatural elements in the hotel. She offers Claire guidance, and helps deepen her pursuit in contacting the spirit of Madeline O'Malley, but Leanne's guidance also comes with a cryptic warning. Will Claire heed it, or will she end up going too far? The Innkeepers takes its time building up the tension, so be prepared for its slow pace as it looks to create an atmosphere that keeps you on edge. This film is more about vibes, and focuses on the interaction of its characters, utilizing the mumblecore style that was popular with indies from this era. If you aren't familiar, mumblecore is known for its naturalistic dialogue and focus on character-driven stories, and we get a lot of candid, everyday conversations between Claire and Luke that help develop their slacker personas, and that's where we get glimpses of humor coming through in Sarah Paxton and Pat Healy's performances. The dialogue also establishes their existential angst as they're about to lose their source of employment. This is true particularly for Claire, as her professional uncertainty and anxiety about the future propels her decision to dive into ghost hunting. Her curiosity about the paranormal provides her with much needed sense of direction and purpose. The quest to gather evidence of the hotel's hauntings gives her something to focus on, and it's a way for her to prove to herself and others that there is more to her than just a job at the inn. This quest becomes a coping mechanism, allowing her to channel her fears into a tangible goal, and she finds a somewhat mentor in psychic Leanne Rhys-Jones. Leanne's confident and assured demeanor contrasts sharply with Claire's insecurity. Leanne represents someone who seems to have found her calling and embraced it fully, while Claire is still searching for her own sense of purpose. This defensiveness sometimes manifests in Claire's interactions with Leanne, where she often questions or pushes back against Leanne's insights, perhaps out of fear or confronting her own doubts and insecurities. But as she delves deeper into the hotel's mysteries, her need to find proof, to validate her experiences and her worth, ultimately blinds her to the risks involved. Another critical aspect of Claire's character is her asthma. As the film progresses and the eerie occurrences in the hotel intensify, Claire's asthma becomes more than just a background detail. The stress and fear from the supernatural encounters exacerbate her condition. This physical manifestation of her fear is a tangible reminder of her vulnerability. It's this naturalistic, character-focused approach to storytelling with a methodical buildup of tension that makes The Innkeepers a fun horror experience that's both engaging and unsettling. But don't take my word for it, let's see how The Innkeepers is rated and reviewed. It only has a 2.9 rating on Letterboxd, with people being put off by the slow pace, but users also said, "Quiet, nicely drawn characters, good shock moments, quite special. What an amazing brooding ghost jam. Ty West has shown he's one of the modern greats at crafting atmospheric slow-burn empty house films. Modern horror masterpiece." IMDb has it at 5.5 with similar pacing complaints, but users also saying, "Ty West gives his solid slow-burn take on hauntings. Decent yet imperfect humor-laced spook tale." It's at 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, so critics are more favorable, with Jeff Beck saying, "Sometimes all it takes to make a decent little horror film is some good atmosphere and realistic characters." Our second film is a whimsical comedy, Extraordinary, released in 2019 and directed by Mike Ahern and Enda Lochman. Meet Rose Dooley, played by Maeve Higgins, a sweet and unassuming driving instructor living in a small Irish town. But there's more to Rose than meets the eye. She has a unique gift, the ability to communicate with spirits. However, Rose is reluctant to use her powers because of a tragic incident from her past that left her wary of the supernatural. Enter Martin, portrayed by Barry Ward, a widower struggling with a particularly annoying and persistent ghost, his late wife, who isn't ready to move on. Desperate for help, Martin seeks out Rose, but she refuses. Enter Christian Winter, played by Will Forte. He's a washed-up rock star who dabbles in black magic, looking for a way to revive his career. His plan? To sacrifice a virgin to summon demonic powers. And as fate would have it, Martin's daughter Sarah becomes the target. This compels Rose to aid Martin and rescue his daughter. And in doing so, she starts to regain her confidence in her talents. What makes Extraordinary so special is its unique blend of humor and heart. The film doesn't take itself seriously, instead opting for a lighthearted and often absurd take on ghostbusting. The interactions between Rose and the spirits are hilarious, often turning the typical ghostbusting tropes on their head. Instead of terrifying encounters, we get scenes where she goes up against a possessed garbage bin. The humor is wonderfully dry and distinctly Irish, with Maeve Higgins delivering a standout performance. Much of the comedy comes from characters exhibiting a nonchalant attitude toward the supernatural happenings around them. And Rose epitomizes this. She has grown up surrounded by the supernatural due to her father's career as a famous paranormal TV show host. This familiarity has led her to treat paranormal events as just another part of life. With her almost blasé reactions to a ghostly presence played with a straight face, it amplifies the absurdity of these situations. You see this in Martin's acceptance of being haunted by his dead wife, and this indifference is also among many of the townspeople, treating the supernatural as a mild inconvenience, rather than something terrifying. This approach ties in nicely with one of the central themes of the film, believing in your talents no matter how strange or unconventional they may be. Rose's journey throughout the film is one of self-acceptance and rediscovering her confidence in her abilities. Despite her reluctance to use her gifts due to past traumas, the film shows that her unique talents are valuable and can make a real difference. The character's casual attitudes toward the supernatural serve to highlight this theme by making the extraordinary seem ordinary. And as she begins using her talents, her unique way of exercising spirits involves Martin acting as a conduit for the ghosts. This allows Barry Ward to inject some fun in his performance, and leads to some quirky moments as his character ends up embodying the personalities of the spirits. And his experiences with the ghosts also help him and Rose bond, and grow as characters. There's a heartwarming undercurrent to the ghostbusting. As Martin learns to deal with his own past, he may finally move on from his wife's passing, while also maybe finding a romantic connection with Rose. And as this is all happening, you still have Will Forte, as Christian, giving an over-the-top performance and again normalizing a satanic ritual like it's just another way to make a hit song. This movie is a lighthearted take on the ghostbusting genre, filled with witty dialogue, charming characters, and a good amount of chuckles. It's a perfect choice if you're looking for a surprisingly heartwarming comedy with a supernatural twist. But don't take my word for it, let's see how Extraordinary is rated and reviewed. It only has a 3.4 on Letterboxd, with users saying, "Very cute but didn't feel too cloying. The sense of humor felt very specific and Irish. The effects on look and feel were very impressive to me, and I just found it cute and I laughed a bunch. This is how I felt." The best Ghostbusters sequel is Irish, horny, and very pukey. It has a 6.4 on IMDb, with users saying, "Lighthearted, witty, easy to watch. Slapstick, rom-com, Irish horror." While those ratings seem middle of the road, it just shows that it's hard to reach everyone's taste in comedy. But the critics seem to enjoy it, with a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Perry Nemiroff calling it a super silly and enjoyable experience. So you have your watch assignment for the month. The links for watching these films on Plex and Tubi are in the description, so you have no excuse not to check them out, unless you're watching this video at a later date, and then who knows if they're still available. After you finish your assignment, or if you've already seen these films, leave a comment below with your thoughts or ratings of the movies, especially since the ratings are a bit split on these picks. Until next month, happy streaming!